now we're going to put all of this into practice and reconnect with some real internal and external expressive passion of all we'll be talking about. I'm going to hand over to His Faith Minister Alexandra, and we're going to be singing with the dying.
Yeah. I'm just going to take a minute to get myself.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, do you want me to?
Well,
I'm not going to do that. You just want YouTube?
I'd like YouTube.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I'd also just like to check the space. Actually, it's different when you're up here to when you're sitting down there. The lights are quite bright when you're sitting there, and you've got the bright lights over you.
You can change the lights, and there's dimmers behind you.
Can we dim?
Yeah.
2 dimmers.
Can we shut the door? Alex? So while we're finding this YouTube clip, I will set the scene, tell you who I am, very briefly. I'm Alexandra. I live locally in Tregar. I'm your local friendly interfaith minister. Colleague, obviously, of Michelle and Helen. You'll notice there's one thing very peculiar about interfaith ministers, and that we're all completely different. There is no book or way that we work. We are super individual people who have been trained to offer spiritual ministry regardless of people's religious affiliations or otherwise. So we are spiritual ministers that operate both respectful of and yet also beyond religious bounds. So if you want a ceremony or counselling that goes beyond what we would find within a religious setting, which suits some people. You know, some people find their way through religion, some people don't. And so we might be more towards the fringes there, of people who want spiritual rather than religious. So I live locally, I'm in Tregar, like I say, and I am also an end-of-life doula and birth doula. I'll just give you a moment. And today's talk is going to be on the Threshold Choir, which I have co-founded the local branch. I want to give a little bit of context very briefly, but I would like to take up my full half an hour, but not alone. So I'm going to be like, keeping an eye on the time. Some people think it's a bit strange to be a birth doula and an end-of-life doula. And the word doula is Greek in origin, meaning servant, which might conjure up the idea that you're servile or you're attending to the physical needs of somebody who's in birth or in labour, giving birth and a baby, and somebody's at the end of life. And that's true to some extent. That's what a doula does do. What does a doula do? But actually I also see myself and other doulas as in being in service of the soul. Because if you think about what birth and death have in common, they are thresholds between the known and the unknown, the knowable and the unknowable. It's easy to demonstrate from a biological point of view where a baby, how is a baby made? Well, we know how a baby's made in the sense of, sperm and egg and all of that. But where anyone who's had children knows they come with a personality, and they come with a spark of life that is beyond that is just the physical. And the miracle of that is something that we can't fully understand. So first breath, coming into life, and last breath, leaving life. Leaving this consensus reality of what we understand life to be. Now, for people who don't have a concept of spirituality, for your pure, die-hard atheists, that baby just shows up, and we just die. That's the end of it. Okay? Now, we can go through life with that kind of belief in the material, belief in what we can touch and feel, what we can prove. We can go through most of life. We can go to work, we can go for a run, we can go for a drive, we can do these things in life. But there are points in our life where something stops us and says, what is the bigger picture? And invariably, they would be birth and death for most average Joe in the street. Birth and death are things that bring us right up against the mystery of life. Okay? So I find myself this dweller on the threshold, one foot in one camp, one foot in the other, one foot in this world and one foot in the mystery. And I'm saying, come soul, come into being, go soul, go into non-being. And that's my dance. I'm the one that holds that position between the two worlds. Guardian of the soul. That's what a doula does. Okay, now we have a midwife here, and obviously you may have worked with doulas, maybe. A doula would be very much in the background. Not about doing stuff, but about being really steady. Really steady. A doula should be in the shadow. Should be behind the mother when she's birthing. Should be keeping calm. You often see doulas knitting. Or, as I'm going to go on to talk about, singing. Because what does it take of an individual to be able to be steady at these points of great turmoil in the outer plane? When somebody's, oh God, they're bearing down, they're bringing life in, Do you want to be flapping? Or do you want to be still? When somebody can't breathe, do you want to be flapping? Or do you want to be steady? And what does it take to be steady in the face of human struggle? What does it take to be steady at times of great turmoil? It requires one to be connected to that that is not born and does not die. It requires one, not just me, any of us, to be connected to a sense of there being something beyond that that's happening right now, that doesn't buy into the drama of what's being seen before you, but is able to be steady and be still. And I have a vision, I have a dream. If you're on here, I've actually got words that sound like they might attract funding. I would like to create capacity within communities to be at birth and death, at home, in a natural setting, and save the resources of the NHS for those who really, really need it. Technology, medicine, is a wonderful servant, but a woeful master. Where can technology and medicine serve a positive experience rather than intervening to create a sterile experience? So creating capacity within communities. And when I say that, I only realised that this morning. I have to be, bit too much information, but I was sitting on the loo this morning, and it hit me. If I'm talking about creating capacity within communities, I'm talking about the communities that I work with. When I'm doing funerals, I find myself in Maesgessen and Hirail and Carnarvon, and I'm meeting people who've never, ever really given much thought to their spirituality, other than when death gets them right there. So if I'm talking about creating capacity within communities to be, I'm talking about raising consciousness. It actually turns into quite a big mission. Threshold choir. This is one of the ways in which I can be at the point of birth and death and be steady. I can stay. Now, a year ago I travelled up to Findhorn on a Findhorn in Scotland Findhorn Foundation. I travelled up there last year to go on a bit of a fact-finding mission, and I found myself really reluctant. I was sitting in the threshold choir practice, which was brought to the UK by my dear friend Chloe. She came across it in Canada and America and brought it over and started the first threshold choir in Findhorn, and little choirs have proliferated around the UK. But I was very reluctant to do it. She took me to Teze practice, when they chant Teze, hated it. Absolutely hated it, couldn't bear it. They were there going, feel the joy of the Teze. And I'm like, I don't feel joy. I feel inadequate. Give me a song to sing. Tell me what that song should be, and I can't sing it because I'm not good enough. I can't sing. It took me away from my joy, and it took me into deep grief. And I came back from that experience bereft at my inadequacy and my inability to sing. And Chloe said to me, maybe when you sang in school choir and the teacher said, oh no, bomb, no, get out. When she said that, maybe she was listening to joy and you were singing a song of grief. Maybe you were lamenting, maybe you were born to lament. I was born to lament. You'll hear me sing later in grief. So I'm going to show this 6-minute clip, a little mini documentary made about the Threshold Choir. Couldn't get any of my fellow choir members to come with me today, so you're going to get me from you later. But this just sets the tone, sets the context for what the Threshold Choir is. Sorry. Just want to get rid of that one.
work of singing at the bedside of people who are dying, because I feel very strongly that death is a very real part of life, and we can't just ignore it. When I go to the bedside, it is an opportunity to be in a very sacred space with someone, because you are there with a person in their most intimate time. You're going through their own questions about, do I need? Am I going to see tomorrow? They're reflecting in a way that is very pure. I am Kate Munder. I'm founder of Special Choir. In 1990, I was asked to fill in a volunteer slot for a friend who was dying of HIV. It was very distressing to see him comatose and agitated. So I did what I did at the time when I was nervous or afraid, and I started singing. I watched him calm, settle, get positively serene, and I calmed, settled, and got positively serene. And I felt that I had discovered something, or rediscovered something, an ancient practice that tribal humans do for one another when someone's struggling.
It's helped with relieving some of my pain, some of the physical pain in my head. I just smile a lot.
I came close to death. I had a brain tumor that was very large, and it was a pretty scary time. I came out of that surgery blind and unable to walk, and I had an opportunity to decide, okay, what am I going to do now? If I get better, I'm going to do something important. I always loved to sing, and I heard there were these people that sang to people who were dying, and I thought that was the most incredible thing I'd ever heard. I got a little shiver up my spine, and I went, oh, I've got to do it. When they hear that first sound, especially when they hear the harmony, it's a visceral experience. It's full body absorption of vibration. Do you want some more songs? You can see that they begin to breathe more easily, and it's just a feeling that they are relaxed and comfortable. And when they're feeling that way, you feel better, and it's just a reciprocal energy that goes back and forth.
I believe that our purpose as human beings is to be givers, however we can. We go through the hardships of life, we go through the beauty of life, we take all the energy and we find a way to give and help others. So I'm proud of them.
They sing mostly small songs that are written by the choir members. People who just do it don't get it. They're why are you doing that? And what I think what they're terrified of is actually seeing somebody dying. Most of us think of death as an event, but when I have seen people in their dying process, I've been able to at least watch the process in others and ask myself, how will I do it? Which I never would have had that conversation ever. I would have just sat in fear. The song can be a bridge from the purely physical, temporal body experience that we have for many years to what lies beyond. Let me trouble drift away. Doing this work has made me feel more alive and more into being in the moment. And I hope that at some point in the future, when I am on the threshold, someone will come and sing to me these beautiful, peaceful songs.
sing is an act of love and support, which is what I need most in my life right now.
Sort of with that for a while. What struck me this morning about that Chinese character of the head and the heart and thinking, and this act of drawing the character, like that, was that it wasn't just about a word. In the drawing, in the painting of it, it was an invocation of the essence of what was being expressed. And everything that we experience in our perception has been created by the way that our space has been delineated, where closed door, dim the light. It's all about creating the experience that we choose. Now, when my friend Laura and I started the Bangor Threshold Choir, she was pregnant. She has become pregnant with her third child. And for some reason we attract a younger demographic than the Threshold Choirs in the States, who tend to be ladies later in life. Now, it is a women's voice choir, so I'm going to let the gents do something today. There's something that isn't intended to be sexist. It would be beautiful. I would love it if men came to sing to me when I was dying. But the Threshold Choir movement is one of 3-part female voice harmony. But there is something about the feminine, and I would take that away from its gender identity and touch into what it means at a spiritual level. Masculine and feminine, not about men and women, but there's something about the feminine that thinks that we don't need conferences like this to talk about going beyond thought. That is what the feminine, that's talking about masculine and feminine clarities. And there's something about the feminine that is able to be in an irrational state that the masculine side, we used to talk about left and right brains, tolerance key. It's about coming into our inner mother, and it's about connecting to our capacity to midwife others and ourselves through these great thresholds. I attended this conference in Fintorn again, this was last week, got back last week. I haven't processed it yet, it's looming. And there were great scientists there. The very, very, very highly thought of Dr. Michel Audin was presenting. And he was talking about the neocortex of the brain being that part of the fight, flight, stress response, think things through, and how we need to find ways of deactivating the neocortex and activating the primal instinct of the birthing mother. And that would be to bring the lights down, so reduce light, reduce noise, reduce intervention. He's famous for saying, leave the woman alone. Just leave her alone. She knows what she's doing. And there was a Colombian midwife there who sat there and he was chuckling to himself. And he said, you know, for thousands of years, the traditional indigenous Colombian tradition has known that childbirth is known as the madness of the woman. Switching off the logical mind and being able to be mad enables her to go with her body, to be with the spiral, to connect with who she really is, to give birth. And isn't it the same at the other end of life? So I was saying, I've gone off on a tangent, but Laura and I, so many babies in our choir, we've ended up deciding that we need to sing at birth as well. And Laura taught us a song. Our friend Viv was, you know, well overdue. And she hadn't asked me to be her doula. She phoned me at 3 in the morning and asked me to be her doula. And we had learnt the song on the Sunday and she gave birth on the Tuesday night. So I was called and I sang through the points of her birth without a waver. I found my voice very, very steady. And later she said it was that she could only hear that her brain had tuned out the labour ward at Bangor. So, I've no idea me if I'm making a logical or linear point. It's not where the linear reality of logic is not where I dwell. But I think it's very interesting that we're talking about entering into madness. We're talking about being in touch with our animal and instinctive nature. We all know how to birth and we know how to die. We don't need experts to tell us how to do it. We need companions to be there with us. Or if we choose to be alone, people holding space. So can I have a time check? How long have I got for you?
About 5 minutes.
5, 10 minutes. I'm going to take 10 minutes. Because I would like to actually create space to teach you the song. And I would like to, at the end of it, I will close the space as well. So I'm giving a kind of practical, but also an experience of what I'm talking about. Okay, so with Michelle's permission, do you mind me sharing where you're at the moment? We were talking earlier. Do you feel a bit?
Yeah, right.
So Michelle's mother is at the threshold. What's her name? Hayes. So we can be with Michelle for this beauty. Is anybody else, would anyone else like to name anybody who's at the threshold of death? Any other names?
My mum's not dying quite yet, but soon. I'm not quite sure, but lung cancer, so I'm thinking about this at the moment. But it's great to meet you because I put it in my agenda.
What's her name?
Today. Joan.
Joan. Any other names of people who are dying? We're all dying, but people who are at the threshold. Do you?
No, I'm just responding to what you just said.
We're all dying.
Life is past.
But the threshold. To say that death is nothing at all, death doesn't exist, is a bypass. It really fucking does. I've been there. And it really does. It does exist. That's the story. When we're talking about reality, I like the way the Buddhists separate supreme reality from consensus reality. There is a reality to death, and it's worth naming and holding. It is there. So those at the threshold. Okay. So by naming these people, we're bringing them to our heart, we're bringing them to our mind, and when we sing for them, and for all those that have gone before. I'm going to teach you a very, very basic song, which we'll sing a few times through together, and then we'll break into a round, so it's not harmony in the sense of 3 harmonised parts. Now you'll recognise that I said only a year ago I didn't feel comfortable to even sing, so you'll recognise the journey I've been on a year on the line that I was standing in front of a group of strangers and singing in front of me. The words are, ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing. Ocean breath, breathing me. And I would say that all the songs that are within the Threshold Choir repertoire are copyrighted for the purposes of Threshold Choir, and I share it in this context because I'm raising awareness of the Threshold Choir. So they ask that because they're sacred, they're held within that trust of copyright. Ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing. Ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing me. Ocean breath, breathing. Ocean breath, breathing. Ocean breath, breathing. Ocean breath, breathing. Ocean
Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath breathing. Ocean breath breathing me.
Once more together.
Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath breathing. Ocean breath breathing me.
We're going to try singing it in a round. And then you'll see me go like that. And that means to go ah, 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 ah. We'll do that once round. Okay. And then I'll go out. The round comes in after the word ocean. Ocean, ocean, ocean breath breathing me. Front row, please. We'll start together with me. Second row, and just new friend Anna and Stuart, this group. And the back would be the third round coming in. And it's easier the later in the round you become because you're listening to the ocean that comes before. Okay? We'll just give it a go. We'll just give it a go. So, first round through, we all sing it. And then we will come in. And then I'll come up and go, ocean, ocean, ocean. You'll feel the waves of it. Okay? So, one time through all together.
Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath breathing. Ocean breath breathing me. Ocean breath
stand on the threshold of life and death and life. To all who were never sung in on their first breath, may they know the song of love as they make their final journey. Hazel, Joe, and all those in our community who died, who are at the threshold as we speak, we send you this love, this storm, and our blessing.